Hey class, once again we find ourselves looking at another video. On this particular video for the web design, what I would like to do is just kind of give you a behind the scenes look at WordPress, where it's hosted at. Now this is my current one, macco.us, and for those that have not seen or know exactly how a website is provided to the internet and to the public, this is kind of just a little behind the scene guide of what it looks like. So what we do is we actually host this particular one on ehost.com. When you go into a website, primarily you're just given a URL or a link. As an example is classes.macco.us. And to you, it's just a website you get to go through on the front end. But this is actually what we're looking at here is the back end. Each website that you actually go visit is hosted onto a server. That server may be located anywhere within or without the United States, but a server essentially is a large computer that processes all of the actions and everything on the website and hosts that database, etc. So on the back end, what we have here is we have our account, which is what we particularly are paying for at this time. The support is to acquire any technical support if you have any issues or questions, because you are paying this company to not only host your website but also to assist you. And the billing would be in reference to the payments and everything on that. Now keep in mind, some website domains do provide free, specifically WordPress.com, and where you can go in and create a free website. Again, that would be a subdomain. So if you're doing game review, it would be gamereview.wordpress.com, and it only provides you a little bit for free. And then of course if you want to upgrade to full version, it provide you additional things that you could use or manipulate, etc. But as always, normally I have to pay for that. So moving on, the add-ons is an initial top deal. Add-ons are generally things that you could add to your website or to the package that you're paying for. The quick installs, for our particular purpose, we do a quick install with WordPress because WordPress is the primary tool that I use for our websites. The other ones that are included is Joomla and Drupal, but as with any of these, you would just have to learn that particular product. Okay. On the left hand side, you can see who was the last login from. If this is not your IP address that you're familiar with, then most chances somebody else is logged into it without you knowing it. The disk space, this space is dependent upon the package and where you're hosting your web server at. Depending on what that is, they may allow or not allow you an X amount of disk space to be used. The bandwidth is the traffic that is actually hitting your website. Again, depends on where you're hosting your website and the package that you purchase, the allowability of how much traffic. I have seen certain places where it only allows X amount of traffic. Once that traffic is met, then at that point, that website goes down for a period of time. The files is the file structure itself. The file manager would be able to get into the actual files of your website onto the server. Just like anything else, the images, these are pretty much, they're self-explanatory on the naming. Backup is always important. You want to always back up. The backup wizard would probably allow you to set it up to back up your website every week, for an example. And the reason so being is there are chances of where your website database would corrupt, and at that point you lost all the information. However, if you have a backup, then you could grab that backup and you would only lose a week of activity for that website. The other reason for a backup, of course, is in case you get any viruses. Just like your normal home PC, servers do sometimes acquire viruses, or people attack that website in order to try to get into the back door through Trojans and that type of deal. The backup is for that purpose of retroacting prior to that intrusion or that corruption. Now the databases is what actually is housing your website. These are your articles, your usernames, and all that. Um, this particular one is MySQL database, so this host uses MySQL. The other one that I'm familiar with is actually just SQL, but most of them that I've seen thus far utilizes MySQL because it's a cheaper version to go to. The domains, as I mentioned before, subdomains would be like your gamereview.matco.us. Again, it goes back to the hosting and the package that you purchase, dependent upon how many domains and subdomains that you can get. Okay, the email. Personally, I don't mess with email because I do use a Gmail all the time. But what you can do is you could set up emails for your domain, and you'll see this in companies. For example, if I was to create one for all the students on matco.us, it would simply be Sean at matco.us or Matt at matco.us, depending on how you set it up. And then you would have the ability to go in and look at those. The metrics is basically an ability to go in, just kind of give an idea of how many visitors are per day, the bandwidth that's being utilized. There's all kinds of things that you could get real deep into. And the security, again, goes back to the host and the package of what's available to you. The IP blocker, if you happen to see an intruder or an attempt intrusion constantly from a source, you could put that IP on there and it'll block that individual from trying to get into it. Software is another way we can go in and kind of enhance our websites. PHP, Perl, Ruby gems, Ruby on Rails. Basically, you would have to understand and know that software and how to use it, and similar to HTML before we could go forward. As far as the advanced, I'm more familiar with the cron jobs. Cron jobs are basically just jobs that will automate process on specific times. So let's say for an example that you're creating a report based on the information that you're getting into the website, and you would kick off that job to send an email out for that same report. Cron jobs are good for that and everything. It just helps automate back end stuff in order for you to acquire or provide that information. So that's what it kind of looks like in the back end. As far as the server is concerned, I'll create additional videos and everything to go further and deep in some of these areas. But nonetheless, hope you have a good day.